Hello here, and welcome again to another edition of the HuskerOnline show. And I apologize if you had your Steve Sipple withdrawals here. Usually we're about 36 hours earlier with our show, but we held off for good reason. That good reason was the head football coach in Nebraska talked for about 40 minutes on Wednesday, and we thought it wouldn't be a disservice to our loyal listeners if we held back and did the show before Matt Rule.
God, I mean,
it would have been.
Yeah, it would have been. I'm sorry to interrupt, Rob. That was there was a lot there. Meg, I mean, it's incredible when he takes the podium. You get like 3 columns out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, you turned to me like 3 times. You go, "That's my column." Then you're like, "Wait a minute, that's my column."
Well, there's always Sunday.
And then you perked up. They're like, "Lynn Thomas will be speaking on Monday at 11," and you're like, "That's good." I'm like, "Yeah." So says the guy that writes a Tuesday column. I mean, it's like they tee up the schedule to make sure you have a good Tuesday column.
Yep.
Beautiful.
But yeah,
it's just one day closer to spring ball is what it gets. Now, in all respect to the basketball team, which is about ready to go on a heater here, I think. But Rob, come on.
But we're going to spend the next 3 segments talking signing day and what we learned from Matt Rule. Abby Barmore will join us for the mailbag, and then we also have basketball to talk with Robin Washett. But let's get into signing day first and foremost, because it is not the signing day we grew up with. I mean, within the last 5 years, it's obviously changed a lot, really since 2018 when they introduced the early signing day in college football. But it's changed even more so where, you're spending your January as a coach, junior recruiting, meeting with juniors. But with that said, Nebraska still was able to find one true signee, a really good one, in Keona Wilhite out of Tucson, Arizona, who was previously a commit. And think about this. He was a commit to Washington, lost their head coach. He was at one time a commit to Arizona. They have lost their head coach. He flirted and kicked the tires and nearly committed to UCLA, whose head coach is still interviewing for jobs.
Really
so
weird.
Keona Wilhite, you can say, "Oh, this kid's been committed multiple times." Well, he's had good reason. And I think the stability at Nebraska right now was a big factor in why they were able to get Keona Wilhite over UCLA, over Michigan State, and the previous programs he was involved with.
Go ahead, Rob.
It's another example of why you never stop recruiting, even if there's a commitment, a verbal commitment, or even a signee. Like in today's era, like there's always another opportunity, and because it could happen with a guy's coaches, or circumstances might change, or whatever it may be. More often than not, there's going to be a second time around, or maybe a third time around. And so the good on Nebraska for not closing the book on this and completely dismissing Wilhite as a potential option, because when he became available, that seemed like that happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, that mindset that you laid out there, Rob, has never been more important. You don't close the door on relationships anymore. Jordan Ball. And it's
Jordan.
I mean, we had a big Raiola debate this week,
but you see what I'm saying? I mean, Ball. I mean, Ravel kept that relationship alive, and here she is. So, yeah, it's critical. And hey, you get an edge rusher. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of great edge rushers around here lately. I'm not saying Wilhite's going to be no matter what, but he certainly has some promise. Edge rushers are incredibly important.
Right. And, you think about last year, Maverick Noonan got hurt, so he's coming back this spring. So, like, they don't have a lot of young. I mean, Princewell Umanyalan out for the spring,
right?
With shoulder surgery. So, they need some more younger guys for the future of this program, because the older players are going to be gone here soon.
Right. So look at him. There you go.
And that's our former intern, Matt Reynoldson, the sports director of the NBC affiliate in Tucson, with some of that footage there for us. And by the way, our other former intern this week, Blake Arney, named the new voice of Sporting KC on the radio in Kansas City.
That's a great
Big
job
time
for him.
That's his dream job. He's a huge soccer fan, huge Sporting KC fan. Congrats, Blake.
Interns are making our life here. Appreciate all the contribution. Abby Barmore, former HuskerOnline intern.
That's right. The pipeline.
But you talk about relationships. Another one was Kamir Prescott.
Okay.
They brought Kamir Prescott. He was sitting in Robin's chair in this office in April for a recruit spotlight interview.
Yep.
And he committed to Wisconsin a few days later, which we found out after the fact he was a silent commit to the Badgers. Well, something fell through. He decommitted from Wisconsin in December. never signed, was available. Nebraska comes in, and they're going to bring Kamir Prescott in as a walk-on.
Right.
And, with NIL, there's a lot of ways you can be creative, but they took about 10 defensive backs this year in recruiting.
They took 10.
And Kamir Prescott is every bit as good as any of them, other than maybe Mario Buford.
Yeah, 10 is a big number in that class of 20. Well, now what? I don't know. What are we calling it? 27, 28? It was 20. We'll call it 27 with Will Height. Prescott, I don't even look at him as a walk-on. I hate doing that. He's just a player. He's a very good player. We liked him when he was here.
Yeah, and somebody I spoke to, like, don't call him a walk-on. He is, but he really is not, if that makes sense. And I mean, you
Somebody
look at,
you spoke to within the program.
and you look at the numbers right now, we list 27 people as commits, but there's really like 4, as our colleague Sam McEwen calls them, premium walk-ons.
Okay.
Alexander Rugolari, Camden Cook, Evan Taylor, and now Kamir Prescott. Those 4 guys are 3-star walk-ons.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a reason that Matt Rule today said that when he looks at that walk-on class, I'm sure these are the guys that are at the top of what he's thinking, but he said there's probably about 3 starters, future starters in this latest walk-on group. So the term walk-on isn't what it used to be. I mean, it's not just the overlooked Johnny Tryhard that's going to work his way up 3 years down the road and start. Like, you're getting scholarship level rated players to come in as walk-ons in the new NIL.
NIL, baby.
Because of NIL. Yeah. Well, that's whatever. I mean, I credit Nebraska for adapting to that world. They've adapted very well.
Collective. You can't do it without a good collective.
Right. A good, very strong collective. We're going to call 1890 easily a top 25 collective nationally.
Oh, for sure. Without a doubt. Right. I mean, and then you're splitting hairs on when you start to get higher and higher. But NIL is more about roster value than it is about true like NIL. Like Caton Clark, that's NIL. Like real, like what we're seeing with 1890 and collective, that's roster value NIL.
Right.
And 90% of the dollars are roster value dollars.
Right. It's not the NIL as intended. Name, image, and likeness.
Yeah,
right.
Players getting paid because of their name, image, and likeness by whoever, Wendy's.
I mean, even the small time pizza money deals, we don't see as much of those anymore. I mean,
they happen.
They happen a little bit, but at the beginning, you saw more of that stuff. Like, hey, make a tweet for a $50 gift card. Like, you don't see those. I mean, because that's not what this is anymore.
Nope.
So lots of, and Matt Rule did have a good point too. And we get this a lot on our site. The numbers. Everyone freaks out about the scholarship numbers. And I did get a kick out of Matt Rule saying people will stop me on the street.
Stop him on the street.
And just great concern about the scholarship numbers. And, we get that question all the time. People always want to know, how are they going to get to 85? And,
right.
And, I don't know why there's such a fascination with it. Because I think everyone wants to always know who are the people they're going to throw off the boat.
Chopped is what they want to know.
Yeah. They want to see who's going to get thrown out. And, with NIL and other ways around it, I mean, there's ways to make this work. I mean, that's the beauty of it.
It's not all of that, but in some of the matriculation of players isn't all that interesting. I mean, there's just some that it becomes medical situations or some just kind of quiet.
Like Kane Williams.
Right.
I don't think
great example.
I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh my God, Kane Williams. No. Like, I mean,
no, they're not.
Ethan Piper.
No, that's a tremendous example.
Ethan Piper.
Good example.
Injury situation.
Yeah, good example.
So, another one I'll throw out. I'm trying to think that happened of the guys like Randolph Kapai.
Right. Good example.
Never played.
Right.
And he's gone.
There'll be a few more of those probably.
Those situations have happened at college football programs for 50 years.
Yeah, there's just some very natural matriculation.
It's the Ernest Hausman type transfer.
That's the freak show.
That's what you try to avoid.
Yeah.
And you want to, Casey Rogers.
Yeah.
That's one where you're like, what, where you're like, why is he leaving?
Right.
You don't really understand.
Hit you out of nowhere.
Yeah. And that was like at the very beginning stages of NIL. So lots to talk about. When we come back, we're going to continue the discussion from Matt Rule. We learned more about the offensive staff, including more about the play calling situation and how that will look in 2024. That's next. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett here as we bring you home from National Signing Day. But before we get to that, got a sponsor here. The segment of the Husker Online Show brought to you by Omaha Steaks. They're back here on our show. They had just wild success with the Husker Online show over the holidays, and now they're back for a President's Day week sale. Take advantage of it right now. Get over 50% off site-wide. Go to omahasteaks.com/Husker, and you'll get 8 free Omaha Steaks Burgers on select packages. That's 50% off all your tender, juicy, extra-aged steaks like Butcher's Cut filet mignons. They're mouth-watering, pure ground burgers, comfort classics, and easy-to-prepare meals that are perfect for those busy weekday nights. With Omaha Steaks, the possibilities are endless flavor and endless value, all at 50% off during this President's Day sale. Remember, the only way to get this amazing deal is to head over to omahasteaks.com/Husker and shop the President's Day sale. Load up on all of the delicious flavor you crave at half the price. And don't forget to look for those 8 free burgers on select packages. But you're going to want to hurry because this deal ends soon. Go to omahasteaks.com/Husker to shop the President's Day sale today. Okay, let's get into what we learned from Marcus Satterfield about Marcus Satterfield from Matt Rule. The long and short of it is, and I think we nailed this simple from the beginning, Marcus Satterfield is still the offensive coordinator. Marcus Satterfield is still the play caller. Mm-hmm. And this is the vision Matt Rule always had. I think initially, though, the vision was not to have Satterfield coach quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. They were looking at some other people last year. It didn't work out for whatever reason. Now they have Glenn Thomas here from the Steelers. He'll coach quarterbacks. Marcus Satterfield will still run this offense.
Right. And there was some, wouldn't you guys agree that there was some question when they hired Glenn Thomas that mm-hmm. maybe Thomas would take over play calling?
Slapped a co-coordinator title on him.
Right.
So you immediately jumped to that conclusion. Like, oh, here we go. He's taking the keys from Satterfield.
Right. And then what happened today?
Shut it down.
Yeah. Rule to shut it down. He
Emphatically.
Said, yes. He said, I told you guys from the beginning that Sat was going to be the OC. Sat is the offensive coordinator. Glenn, he said, Glenn Thomas is coming in as the co-offensive coordinator to work with him. Sat, he said, is going to call the plays. Thomas will be intimately involved in play design. But he said it about 3 different times in 3 different ways. Sat is in charge of the offense. Mm-hmm. Satterfield is in charge of the offense. Satterfield will stand in front of the room. Now, he won't coach the quarterbacks, obviously. He'll coach the tight ends, Satterfield. That's the big change. So now they have a dead.
And last year's tight ends coach, Josh Martin, still around.
Analyst. So Josh Martin goes back to being an analyst. This is what, and Sean alluded to this, this is the setup that Rule wanted from the outset. Some things fell through, obviously.
Yeah, you look at just the makeup of this, and Matt Rule is not a guy that's going to shake things up. And I think it's unfair to be critical of Satterfield in some respects because of the injuries.
Yeah, now, Sean, just a mild disagreement when you say Rule's not a guy who's going to shake things up. I don't agree with that. He does shake things up
off his initial plan.
Right.
It's not like he just hired Satterfield off the streets as a brand new person.
Oh, no.
Like this has been his guy since Western Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they go way back.
But my read on Rule from his past, and hey, Sean, from what we've seen in Nebraska, even with lower level
support staff roles,
if something is not to his liking, he will make a change. He's very decisive. I liked it today, how clear he was. Mm-hmm. You guys, we've covered coaches here that weren't like that.
Like it will be a collaborative group effort.
You know what I mean? No, but just the way they address these situations. Like, I mean, it's been frustrating at times with certain coaches. They just wouldn't be real forthcoming. Rule is a very decisive and very forthcoming. And it's very refreshing.
So with the picture that I understood Rule kind of painted was when you go down to the offensive staff, like as far as the play design, the scheme and all that sort of thing, Donovan Raiola is still heavily involved as the kind of a run game coordinator.
That's right.
Glenn Thomas is going to be kind of like a pass game coordinator.
Right.
Marcus Satterfield is going to be in charge of the offense as the OC calling the plays.
Yep.
Matt Rule is going to be the guy that, chimes in when he feels it's necessary, but kind of oversee the entire picture. So that's kind of the hierarchy.
You got it.
That he kind of laid out specifically
Yeah.
during his press conference.
The only thing I'd add is he also mentioned in terms of like play design, Garrett McGuire is involved. So no, you got it. I like that look, by the way, that you just laid out. All of that made a lot of sense to me.
You just think about last year's offense, though. Has there ever been a unit decimated like last year? Where
No, I'm glad you mentioned it.
I mean, Jeff Sims, they misfired on that one, but he also got hurt with an ankle injury.
He did.
And Harburg got hurt.
And
Chuba Purdy got hurt. Okay. Gabe Irvin, Ramir Johnson got hurt. And then the receivers, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, Marcus Washington. And I'm missing one in there. Billy Kemp got hurt for a while.
Yeah, Kemp was out for a little bit.
Thomas Fedoni coming off injury. Ethan Piper got hurt. Turner Corcoran got hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the number of things they dealt with, and that's why I have a really hard time saying point the finger at Satterfield.
Oh, I'm 100% in agreement with that. And I didn't think his play calling was bad. Now, you guys watched the games with me, and everybody can kind of nitpick on certain play calls.
Certainly,
there's some game I'd say there's some game game management things that you can be critical of.
Yeah, and that might be more rule actually, but I didn't watch the games and consistently think, oh my God, Satterfield can't call plays. Of course, there's instances where you question him, but I thought by and large I thought he was fine as a play caller. It's the quarterback issues that were killers.
For every play that you question them calling, there are several others that if the players actually would have executed, they would have been touchdowns. So it's like you can't just focus on the negative. You got to give props to the players. The scheme was there, the play call was there, it just wasn't executed.
Right. Now the issue was 31 turnovers led the country for Nebraska. 31 turnovers led the country. 25 came from the quarterbacks. That's why I think there's an extreme number there, and that's what led to the change. We better hire a quarterbacks coach, Glenn Thomas.
I mean, I do think there were some positives, like how they were able to get Jalen Lloyd going. Malachi Coleman, like Jalen Lloyd had as many 50-plus yard plays as Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well,
which led the conference.
Yeah, he can fly.
So, like, I give them credit for some of those things because they were playing with a gun that didn't have a lot of bullets in it.
Right, and you have to play when you have to play three quarterbacks. Anytime you have to play three, that's not what you want.
And you have to. I mean, they were running like a traditional option.
They were
they were running Tom Osborne's plays.
Well, with help from Ron Brown, with help from Tom Osborne himself. Satterfield's not an option. He doesn't teach the option. Rule's not an option coach. They had to.
It was just kind of survive and advance.
Yeah, and gosh, you just look at it, and I hate to remind people, but man, 4 games to win 1 to get to a bowl. 4 to win 1. And I said probably on this show, there is no way they won't do that.
Yeah, we were all in agreement. We thought it was a foregone conclusion.
Right. Michigan State's the one you really look back on. There's some call.
Maryland.
Yes.
I mean, Wisconsin. You could actually argue all 4 of them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's the Wisconsin.
Yeah. I mean, they
could have scored a
strong case. They should have gone 4-0.
It was OT.
They could have scored a touchdown in regulation.
Right. Yeah. Sorry to bring
fun times.
But anyway, there's the stat. That's covering the staff. Satterfield, the last thing I'd mention is he's coaching the tight ends, and Rule likes that because, well, he wants to get the tight ends involved. They got some good ones. Fedoni, Borkercher, and then the big horse coming in, Carter Nelson.
The president of the Carter Nelson fan club. Like Cam Jurgens had the beef jerky jerseys. You're going to come up with some Nelly, C. Nelly or something. The C. Nelly line or something.
I'm not going to come up with that one.
Try to think. What's another good Carter Nelson line?
I don't know.
I feel like the NIL T-shirt type stuff that kind of went.
That's kind of died off.
Like it had about an 18-month run, but like I think people figured out real quick there aren't going to be a lot of people going to the store to buy like a backup linebacker T-shirt.
The commercials too. They're still around a little bit, but those have certainly died off a little bit.
Well, Tanner's was going to do one, and it was going to be with Jeff Sims, and it fell through. It kind of worked out. I mean, but Tanner's would have done one this year again.
Yeah, but those are not. I mean, it's just not what NIL is really.
NIL is roster value.
Yeah.
That's all it is now. With Caitlin Clarks of the world that really are the NIL.
Yeah.
But all right, when we come back, We're going to turn the page to spring football. We learned about injuries. We learned about when spring ball starts, and the mat drills begin this week. That's next. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut. Before we get into some spring football early discussion, this segment of the Husker Online Show, Stephen M. Sipple, is brought to you by who?
Larson Motors in Nebraska City, beautiful Nebraska City. I had a chance to go that way. Well, when we went down there to Kansas City Airport recently, Sean, it's good to get down that way. It's an easy drive, really easy drive. It seems like it's getting easier. So if you're looking for a new vehicle, go for a new experience at Larson Motors in Nebraska City. Larson Motors, one of the Midwest's only dealerships with all the major brands in one big lot. Finding your new Chevrolet, GMC, Hummer, Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram has never been easier. Start your new experience today at LarsonMotorGroup.com or at Larson Motors. In Nebraska City, Larson Motors, you know what they say, guys, real people, real deals.
All right, well, let's get into some spring football discussion. Robin, started off here because we did learn a lot about injuries.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the breakdown. Who is out, and kind of give us the update on the injuries.
Yeah, several players are going to be out for spring ball, including a handful of very notable names. Two running backs, Ramir Johnson with his hip injury and Gabe Irvin Jr. with his shoulder injury. They will be held out of spring ball. Wide receiver Isaiah Garcia Castaneda is still coming back off the ACL injury he suffered last year. And Turner Corcoran might be the biggest one of all, in the sense that he's the one that Rule designated as a potential long-term deal, to where he's not only going to miss spring, but he's probably going to miss some fall camp, and there's a chance that he could miss some time on into the start of the season.
He's never redshirted.
Yeah, so that kind of changes up your discussion about the offensive line, because he was a pretty prominent player in those projections. Might have to reevaluate that a little bit. But I guess the good news is on those other three, Johnson, Irvin, and Garcia Castaneda, they're all expected to be ready for the start of fall camp. And then some guys that are going to be limited include Princewell, Uman Mielen, and Malachi Coleman, who are both dealing with shoulder injuries. But a positive note is Maverick Noonan, who his college career got sidelined before he even started early in fall camp last year with a knee injury. He is heading in the right direction and has a shot to participate in spring practices this year. So some negatives, some positives, but an update of where the injury front stands.
So hello, Teddy Prohaska.
Yep. Hello, Dante Dowdell.
Yeah. Okay. So start with Teddy.
That's the big one to me.
Yeah. Teddy at left tackle, though, will be critical. Now, remember, Turner Corcoran started at left tackle for 7 games last year. I think it was the first 7.
And it started the previous couple of years before that.
Right. So he has a lot of experience. Teddy has 10 starts, though. So Teddy's dealt with some injury issues. I think that, at one point, Teddy was designated the left tackle of the future. So the future's now for Teddy. It's time.
Well, and how about Micah Mazuka today, Matt Rule? That wasn't a real
resounding
glowing candidate endorsement for the upcoming election. It was I was kind of like, God, tell me how you really feel, Coach Rule.
Right. So, it was glowing praise for Jamal Banks, the way he's adapted to Nebraska and, their off-season program and the scoring system they have and such. And then, on the other end of the spectrum, he basically said Mazuka's got to adapt to the way we do things here. So, but he'll come around. I'm sure he'll come around, but
it was kind of Matt Rule, and we've seen this with him. He's smart. He uses this podium to make statements to his locker room.
He is it's interesting. And we've talked about this, guys. When we discuss players nowadays, it's a little different because they're getting paid. And with Mazuka, you're talking about a 22-year-old kid, a 23-year-old, 22-year-old.
With almost 3 years of starting experience.
Yeah, he could be an NFL rookie very easily. And people are very, people criticize NFL players. It's no problem. So the way college football has changed has kind of changed the way I look at how you criticize them. It's easier to criticize even a freshman like Dylan Raiola when he's making over $1 million. Yeah. He's making more than Brock Purdy. So it's easier to kind of say, maybe criticize him a little bit.
Guess
more.
what? He's a young man. He can handle it. He's 22 years old.
Exactly.
The only thing you can't do is rent a car at this point. So like you're open to that sort of criticism, especially now that you're getting paid for your services.
Right.
Like you
Handsomely.
were no longer protected under the just hardworking student athlete shield
Right.
that has always been there. That's no longer
There
there.
you go. That you said that very well. Thank you, Rob.
Well, even like a prospect's commitment, to me, it's not as sacred anymore. And there's an NIL element to it. Like if you know, like he's got a deal and he's going there, I mean, it's almost like a professional thing now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
isn't that interesting?
I mean, you don't really like, honor this sacred, honorable. I mean, in a lot of cases, but there's a big NIL element to everything now.
Right. Absolutely. So so you guys were more interested in the running back situation.
Well, because Emma Johnson will open camp for sure, number one.
Yes.
Quentin Ives is going to get great opportunity, but Dante, don't call me Cowbell, Dowdell will come in there.
Where did that come from?
I'm just on a.
I need more Dowdell.
I kind of liked it in a way, but yeah.
Don't call me Cowbell, Dowdell.
He's got a fever. We need more Dowdell.
Yeah. Who was that actor that did that?
Will Ferrell.
No,
Will Ferrell and
no, it wasn't just Will Ferrell. Rob, pull it. Come on. Jeez.
Yeah, he was from the Deer Hunter.
Yes, from the Deer Hunter.
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken. Good job. No, so I like what Sean said, and I'm glad you said it. Emmett Johnson starts number one
for sure.
Yeah, he earned it. He played well last year.
Dowdell is going to get good reps.
Oh my God, Dowdell's got to be like. You wonder, in fact, if Dowdell knew coming in that they weren't going to have in the spring Irvin and Johnson, and if now I don't know if he was thinking this, but if it was me, I'd think, wait a second, did you say Irvin and Johnson aren't playing this spring? And if he did hear that, you would think his reaction would be, okay, I'm going to get a lot of reps. Here we go. You're going to now that would be beautiful if we saw practice, because I'd love to see what that looks like.
And he's 215,
218.
Yeah. 6'2".
Yeah. And Rule mentioned his size and physicality is one of the biggest reasons why he didn't say they necessarily needed to go take a running back, but to add a player with his attributes, especially that size and strength, they wanted more of a power element in that backfield, which I don't know what that means for Gabe Irvin, because that was kind of his MO.
You can have more than one,
but I think they wanted another hammer, and I think that's what Dowdell, if nothing else, is going to provide that.
One more thing I want to get in here, quarterbacks, because I did take note, Matt Rule, very careful not to prop up Dylan Raiola, like not to kind of like
just ordain him in the open
Harbor. Like in fact, when they would mention three, he had Harbor. I mean, he mentioned Raiola third, but you can sense that Matt Rule understands kind of what's going on right now. And look, Raiola is extremely talented. He's the favorite to win this job, but Matt Rule obviously knows that he's going to have to earn it and win the job here now over the next few months.
Well, he said they're going to be looking at those guys, those quarterbacks during the winter. The other players watch the way they work, and that's where you earn your stripes, so to speak. I will tell you this: don't worry about Dylan Raiola that way. Dylan Raiola is coming to win the job. Dylan Raiola is coming to lead the team. I mean, it's not. I'll tell you one thing I'm not worried about is whether Dylan Raiola puts forth a strong effort in the winter. I guarantee he's doing it every day.
Yeah, and Rule also left the door open on adding a potential quarterback. He said they're content with going with three. He said they usually always just have three, but if the right player, the right situation presents itself, that door is not closed. So we'll see if it happens, but they have not completely eliminated the possibility of adding another player to that room.
But for spring, they're going to get great reps.
Oh yeah, and Rule said that's a huge thing for them. I mean, look how young they are.
Young guys.
Like Harburg's your oldest guy, and he's still scratching the surface in his development. 20. Yeah, so you got three young QBs that are going to get a ton of reps.
And don't undersell Harburg making a massive jump. Like I think he will make a big jump, because a year ago at this time he wasn't even a thought. It was Casey Thompson, it was Jeff Sims. It was Chuba Purdy. Then it was Heinrich Harburg.
Heinrich needs to make a big jump as a passer,
right?
As a passer and a decision maker. That's where he's got.
Well, now he's got real film.
Yeah,
like he didn't have film before. He had Kearney Catholic film where he was bigger than every player on the field, and he was playing quarterback.
Yeah.
Now he's got Big Ten film to look at, study, and build off of.
Yeah. That should help. Just overall comfort at the position. But this spring, God, the spring is big. I mean, it's just so big for so many guys. There has to be development.
And March 24th, by the way.
Okay, that's when it starts?
on a Sunday.
Really?
And here's why, because they open the week of Easter. So they'll practice Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, then the players get Good Friday off, and then the Easter weekend off.
Okay.
So Matt Rule has always done that with his team on spring ball. They don't practice on Good Friday or obviously the Easter weekend.
Okay.
So
there you go, 24th.
they'll open up on Sunday, the 24th.
So we'll probably have a press conference like on Friday.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know when.
I'll push for that. We'll get that.
So you can get a Sunday column out of it.
Actually.
Did you hear that, Keith, man?
Yes.
All right. You're going to get a text from Keith now. So
Yeah.
when we come back, Abby Barmore will join the program. We'll take your questions in the mailbag. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washington. And time for what I'm told is the most popular part of our show, because Abby Barmore might be the most popular person, a part of the Husker Online Show each week. She's gaining a fan club. I hear all about Abby everywhere I go now.
Wow.
Abby, welcome back to the show. Where are you starting us off in the mailbag?
Okay. First one, out of the 2 players who signed today, who do you think is more likely to make an impact early, or do they have an even shot?
Well, only one really signed, but like several walk-on signed. But I think you have to start with Keona Wilhite because of the position he's at.
Well, I mean, he has a good look. And yeah, I mean, if he's what he's cracked up to be, now I think we have him at on 3, the number 55 edge rusher, but he went to Washington and was highly acclaimed. They had high hopes for him. He looks the part. I will say that. And honestly, guys, I need to watch a little more film on him, but it's exciting to get a guy that looks like that. It is. I mean, that's an exciting position in football.
And with Prescott, I mean, it's just the volume of the defensive back class obviously hurts his chances, comparatively speaking. But I mean, earlier this show, you said he was almost as good as anybody in the class, Sean. So I mean, like,
Sean feels that way.
This is a guy that, special teams or within the 4 games, like he could potentially be a factor, depending on if he is what his billing might be.
And he's a tough Philly kid.
Tough Philly kid. That's exactly right.
When he was up here,
God,
he was tough.
Yeah, he makes a really strong impression. He's got the size and everything. I wouldn't worry about the 10, being one of 10, Rob. You saw how many guys they play. They Nebraska plays a lot of players. They shuttle guys in and out of the defensive backfield quite a bit. It narrowed down as the year went on a little bit, but and then they talk about positionless stuff. So they'll move guys around. And some of these guys won't be on defense.
No doubt.
They could move a guy or two to offense.
Okay, next one. Nebraska has flipped a handful of recruits over the past year. Is this a trend that you see continuing for them? And what are some of the keys in being able to do that?
I think it's relationships and circumstances. I mean, I think all these circumstances are so different now with NIL, with coaching changes, and just everything out there. And I do think being in the Big Ten and the SEC right now is going to be a major advantage because of the revenue that you're going to have access to. And as we possibly move to an in-house NIL model over time, if the SEC and the Big Ten kind of organize, those leagues are going to have an advantage, and Nebraska will be able to probably, a lot of Big Ten teams will be able to peck more players from other schools.
Nebraska's positioned pretty well in this new world. It's a very unsettling world. There's a lot of tumult, but Nebraska, because it's moneyed. I mean, Nebraska has money. They have a collective that's it's strong. I would call it a thriving.
Some of the top facilities in the country.
They still sell out the stadium. There's a lot of interest. There's still a big draw. You know what, guys? The last thing now is they got to start winning.
Yeah,
but
that was going to be my point.
Yeah, but if they start winning, then they won't have trouble getting players here and keeping them.
They have everything except the on-field product right now, and you would hope that as soon as that catches up, there's really nothing stopping them from recruiting at an elite level.
No, they've done a good job of setting themselves up in this world. You got to give Trev credit. Obviously, give Rule credit. Rule is a new age coach. He understands the new age athlete. He understands the climate very well, and Nebraska should count itself lucky.
Okay. Some have said that Dylan Raiola is scaring away top quarterback recruits. Why is that, and how do top programs keep several good quarterbacks on their roster?
It is an interesting take because Alex Mansky had been their guy all along. He announced to Iowa State, and just on the surface, a Big Ten offer, in my opinion, or SEC offer is a lot better than a Big 12 offer in the new college football world we're going. But, the situation at Nebraska is with Dylan Raiola and Daniel Kalen, it's a tough sell, and they don't really have a quarterback that has emerged for the 25 class now. There's 4 or 5 new kind of offers out. Brian Munson has done a great job breaking those down, but nobody has kind of pulled ahead of the pack as far as who will be the next guy to visit campus. That's the thing to watch now. Of these quarterbacks they've offered, who can they get on campus maybe in March to kind of get the ball rolling?
That's what it'll be, is March.
Well, that's the first time kids can come back.
Okay.
It's dead for a month right now.
Okay. So, yeah, March, that will be, man, that's a big story.
They need to, and they start spring ball late. So, I'd imagine they will have visitors before spring ball to an extent. But, the spring ball is not till the end of March, really April.
Yeah. My answer to that is, I always say the same things, but the quarterback position above all is going to be very volatile in this new world. So I wouldn't, if I were a kid out there and I looked at Nebraska's depth chart, it wouldn't necessarily scare me away. I mean, Dylan is Dylan, and if you're a Nebraska fan, you hope he's here, and you hope in 3 years they're really rolling. But you never know, and you never know about injury. I mean, we've seen so much injury at that position, but just the natural volatility of it changes the way I look at that conversation, the question that Abby raised.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, what stadium? Oh, I'm going to spoil this one.
Amenities.
Amenities. Wow, amenities. I don't think I've ever said that wrong until right now.
Wow.
Amenities.
I don't believe you.
My dad can't say cinnamon.
I'm a good speaker.
That gets him every time.
At least I could say Jordan.
Hello.
Okay.
No.
What
Yeah,
stadium?
she got me.
Nope, I can't say it again. You know the word.
Amenities.
Amenities are you most looking forward to in the new renovation? And are there some things that you would implement if you had the keys to the plan?
Well, alcohol sale element, and somebody shared this on the HuskerOnline Red Sea Scrolls. Nebraska now moving forward will be the only Power 5 stadium in 2024 that doesn't have alcohol sales.
Really?
And it's not just.
Was it just the Big Ten?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see.
I
that
don't
post.
know that. I don't.
No, there's an article of some Michigan and Penn State.
I mean, I believe it.
Yeah, I'm not.
Everywhere we've gone, they've sold beer.
Okay.
But it's not just like a moral objection to it. Like
infrastructure.
Yeah, they literally cannot sell it. They don't have room for taps. They don't have freezer or refrigerator storage to have cans. Like,
and then the mess that the cans bring.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like right now, just logistically impossible to do right now. So once they get that figured out, I think that's the inevitable turning of the page to introduce alcohol sales in Memorial Stadium.
The Garth Brooks concert, I think, opened a lot of eyes in the sense of the mess that it left.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there were 25 ounce beer cans laying around till like Wednesday.
Is that right?
Yes, because it's a lot of labor. I mean, think how much manual labor. If the number is correct that I heard, they sold like 125,000 of the tall boy cans.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of aluminum.
It is. But don't people just throw them in trash cans?
That's a lot of trash cans. Do you understand how many dump trucks 125,000 tall boy cans?
I don't fully understand, but you're helping. Rob, what amenity? Sorry, Sean. What amenity are you looking forward to?
Rubbing that into Abby, trying to say amenity.
I like the idea of kind of like the whole stadium, like outside of the stadium deal, where they're gonna like do a hotel and like maybe some sort of sports bar, like something that's like gonna just totally change,
like a Wrigleyville.
That stadium, the
Is that
outside
gonna happen?
stadium.
That has not been announced.
Well, I know nothing. I mean, but there's been
That's what
talk
you'd want
about it. Like, so there's the question is, what would I like to see?
Yeah.
I would like to see that. I like to see more of a
Interesting
near the stadium entertainment thing, because that's becoming a new trend around some of the newer stadiums out there.
As long as we keep our parking here at the post office.
Yeah, that's right. Don't touch our building.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me like a cool hotel and a sports bar like across the street from the stadium.
Or a couple sports bars, maybe competing sports bars. One makes me a little nervous, but two, I like competing sports bars.
I mean, it's tough though for these event places to make it. I mean, we just saw one of the biggest bars in the Haymarket or the in this area close down across the street.
Which one's that?
Rosie's.
Oh, it did.
I mean,
that's right.
To like have a business that is right there, make it year round. I mean, it's not easy.
Amenities. Well, I don't think about it because we go to the game and we just cover it, and we don't enjoy the amenities.
If you get your post game margarita, that's a victory.
Yeah. So I don't know how
More
to answer.
TVs in the press box that are easier to see from the front row. How about that?
That's a great one. That's a great one. Ones that are right in front of you.
Yeah.
There are
Give
certain
us our
press-
own monitors.
Yeah, that would.
Keith.
Oh, Robin, you're going to get your head bit off.
Yeah, you are.
Just kidding.
He's going to drop that.
You're going to get a right hook from Seamus.
You ever hear
that's-
Keith
that's
drop
daily.
those?
Oh, you're going to get a.
Uh,
Keith is not happy, and I'm not any part of this, Keith, man.
what else you got?
Okay, are we ready for our last one or one more?
Yeah, final question.
Okay, so this is a two-parter.
Oh,
Who do you
God.
think is going to win the Super Bowl? And what is your favorite Super Bowl food or snack?
Well, I am a Chiefs fan lifelong. I'm not like a new Chiefs fan. Like I've been a Chiefs fan since I was really young.
Casting aspersions to people. Go ahead.
So I obviously am cheering for the Chiefs, but the Niners are like I like the Niners too. In fact, Robin and I's friend Scott is going to the game. He's
Really?
going out to watch the Niners Chiefs.
He's moneyed because you got to pay 10,000 at
Well,
the least to go to that game. That's 10,000 at the least.
He's got points. He's a ticket broker.
Points guy.
He's fine.
Oh, he's a points guy.
I've sat in the best seats at NFL games in my life with him. Like he knows how to get.
So who's winning, Charles? You're picking the
Chiefs,
Chiefs.
Chiefs, and then
Why? Why?
Mahomes.
Okay.
Mahomes over Purdy, huge advantage.
Yeah. I will be passionately rooting for the 49ers, but I'm picking the Chiefs to win.
Kelsey over Kittle to me is a big advantage.
Yeah.
I think Kittle's good, but Kelsey's better.
I'll take the Niners. I'll take the Niners because they're so determined to run the ball and they do it in very
How about
creative ways.
don't do what the Ravens did and actually give the ball to your running back? How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, they got a good one. Niners have a pretty
Seems
good
like
one.
a good strategy.
Yeah, no, I'll take the Niners, Sean. It's hard to bet against Mahomes, though. I mean, Mahomes is such a gunslinger. I mean, it's just hard to bet, and it's really hard to bet against Kelsey right now. Kelsey in the last 4 or 5 games has been incredible, just back to his old self.
Well, if you're a script conspiracy theorist, the script calls for Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift kissing under the confetti after a Super Bowl win. So if that happens, don't be surprised.
Well,
You need to stay off TikTok.
they're saying that this will be the most viewed Super Bowl by far.
oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of Taylor Swift.
Now,
Yes.
Pat McAfee, normally what's a Super Bowl get? Like over 100 million. Like this one, and Roger Goodell told him that it could push 200 million. Like
wow.
because of the worldwide viewing audience that
Wow.
Taylor Swift and that angle has. I mean, she's like it or not, like showing her on camera for 35 seconds of a broadcast does attract some eyeballs.
It's
She has
good.
grown the sport to all kinds of new people.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, Goodell has to love it, and plus, it's not like it's affected Kelsey's game negatively. I mean, he's played really well. If it was the sideshow and Kelsey's dropped off and the Chiefs have dropped off, it'd be bad. It's so good because the Chiefs they're just the Chiefs and they're playing really
And
well.
she's classy. Like it's not like she's like out of hand and doesn't like do dumb. She doesn't draw like bad attention to herself.
It's a hot button topic in this country, which it's interesting
Because of
But
the
anyway,
Chiefs. I mean, people don't like that the Chiefs keep winning. That's what it is.
I think it's more than that. But anyway.
Powder keg. No.
Hey, Sean, it's hard to bet against your team. It is. They're impressive.
Wings, by the way, for my food. Wings.
Oh,
Keep it-
yeah. I didn't even answer
Yeah.
that.
Oh no, I got one. Go ahead though. Rob?
Yeah. Wings are up there. The little barbecue meatballs are always a
Ooh,
go-to
yeah.
as well.
Mm.
I just want some Fuhr's cheese spread and I can put it on
Excuse me?
Fuhr's cheese spread.
Yours?
Yeah,
It's a
Fuhr's.
nice amenity.
Okay.
It's you put it on. You can put it on celery. You can put it on club crackers, Ritz.
Okay.
Try it. Fuhr's cheese spread. I just had some today. It's really good.
How about you
Noted.
for amenities,
It's
Abby?
really
I'm just going to keep
random.
saying amenities a million times.
Do you have a synonym for that?
Yeah, seriously, that's what I need.
What do you?
The food, I gotta go wings because I always go wings, but I also love like cheese dip,
Mm.
guacamole, so good.
Ooh, I'm
so-
allergic to guac.
And also,
Hello.
what are you allergic to that's in guac? Avocados?
I don't know. I stove up. I don't know what it is.
Mm.
Yeah, I started
It's
breathing funny.
unfortunate.
That sucks. I'm also a
Something.
Chiefs fan, so
All
You
right.
are a Chiefs fan.
yeah,
She is.
I am
Can confirm.
very, very excited. And the Chiefs are peaking at the right time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's in the bag. It'll be hard though. It will be
Oh
hard.
yeah, the Niners.
And their play-by-play guy, like I've been listening to my whole life.
Kevin
Mitch-
Harlan.
No, Mitch Holtis.
Mitch Holtis.
But
Why did I say
Mitch
Kevin
Holtis
Harlan?
replaced Kevin Harlan.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And Mitch Holtis was the K-State guy, and
Okay.
Greg Sharp, I believe, replaced Mitch Holtis. Like it was like and Kevin Harlan was the K-State guy. I mean, they all kind of like connect.
So Harlan once was the Chiefs guy.
And once was the K-State guy before that too.
Okay.
And then Holtis moved up. Then Harlan moved up. But Holtis is one of the best play-by-play guys in football.
Yeah, he is. Harlan was really good too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fun game. Enjoy the game, Abby, on Sunday. When we come back, we'll talk some hoops with Robin. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. Final segment here of the program. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Watchett. Let's talk some Nebraska basketball. As Husker Hoops about to embark, Robin, on a big stretch, and we are taping the show about an hour before the Northwestern game. So apologies to our listeners. We're not going to be able to really analyze Northwestern, but moving forward, Robin, I mean, they've got a real opportunity with this stretch to kind of solidify where they want to go.
Yeah, and I think it's fine to not really go too deep into the Northwestern game just because that's kind of the tail end of what was the real last daunting 4-game stretch going back to the Maryland game, Wisconsin, Illinois, and then Northwestern. After Nebraska got through that, the schedule really opens up, starting with Saturday against Michigan. If you look at the Ken Pomeroy projections, Nebraska's favored in all but one of their remaining games, and that is the Ohio State game on the road, and they have a 46% chance of winning it. So a pretty good situation to be in, to have that kind of slope towards the end of your schedule, and that includes a couple weeks off. I know Fred Hoiberg isn't a big fan of the way that their schedule shaped up. Nebraska right now is the last team in the Big Ten to have an off week. You're allowed 2, like basically 6-day breaks between games. Every other team has had one except for Nebraska. So they get theirs after Michigan, between Michigan and Penn State at home. So, I guess it's hard to keep momentum when you're taking a week off break. But the matchups, the fact that the majority of them are home, I believe 4 home games down the stretch, including at least one Saturday game. So, it's a good situation to be in, and we'll see what happens with Northwestern. But that game aside, I think Nebraska's in a great position to hold serve and at least put itself very much in the conversation come selection Sunday.
Is it hyperbole to say Nebraska is a top 10 team at home?
Well, they've beaten 2 top 10 teams already at home.
And they play well, and now now the Creighton game was a letdown. But they've been so good at home. The thing I wonder about, Rob, and you have a good handle on this. These games they start to matter now. It changes. They're not, and Nebraska's not just like a cute little story anymore. They don't sneak up on anybody. I wonder how the players will handle the pressure. That's what I wonder. It's not something that they've had to deal with a lot.
Yeah, they haven't handled success well over the past few games, besides the Illinois game. That was really the first time coming off a huge emotional win that they actually carried it over for a second straight game. That's kind of defined their season, where you have these big wins and they're immediately followed by these just massive drop-offs that kind of set you back in terms of your momentum. So, that's going to be I think the biggest part about this back end of the schedule is, you're expected to win. The competition is a lot more favorable than it was at certain stretches of the season. And so the opportunity to kind of string together wins in a row going into the Big Ten tournament and further on in the postseason couldn't be much more ideal.
Robin, the net rankings, everyone's watching that closely right now, and Nebraska looks good in the quad 1s and the quad 2s. Obviously, they haven't lost any quad 3s and quad 4s, but there are teams ahead of them that don't even have quad 1 wins, that don't have near the body of work. How much do you think the selection committee is going to have to look past some of the overall net ranking stuff and zone in on quad 1, quad 2, and those type of resume builders?
Well, the net is just a reference point. Like, it's a sorting tool for who a team beat, where they won, the types of wins that they have. And it really emphasizes scoring margins. So what's killing Nebraska right now are those blowout road losses, 18 points to Iowa, 20 points, 18 points to Maryland. Like those types of losses are really killing them right now. So if you're losing, as you saw against Illinois, they lost that game and they jumped 5 spots in the net. So it's one of those deals where you only put so much stock into your actual seeding in the net. I think if you're just in the general territory of being somewhere around that top 50 range, and you have the resume and the eyeball test working in your favor, which Nebraska does, then I think that you don't necessarily live and die by where you're seated in the net. There's been plenty of instances where teams have made the tournament. I think Rutgers a few years ago made the tournament and they were almost pushing 80 in the net. So the selection committee does take into account beyond analytics.
Like the Purdue
they
win
watch
is
games.
huge.
Like that Illinois game. That was one of the only like high major games on TV. So everybody was watching that game. I guarantee you almost every member of the selection committee just watched that game or at least saw parts of that game. So those types of things are what's really going to be the difference for Nebraska. Even though their resume compared to others, might be lacking in some areas, the wins that they have and the way that they've played by and large over the course of this season, I think is going to help them, even if the metrics don't necessarily support it.
I don't want to get far ahead of myself, but Tominaga, just if they make the tournament, just the story he could become globally. Like I was telling somebody, I think if they played like in Brooklyn or like a major metro city, like how much like Japanese media could potentially be there to see him play.
Well, they already come to Lincoln, Nebraska. I mean,
like give us a vision of that. Like how many have you seen around this year from Japan?
Well, they've been to several games and multiple outlets too, like the Japanese, like the Tokyo Times, the Sporting News that's based in Japan. They've come to several games.
They sit up there in the press box a row with you?
No, usually they're working more with like camera stuff. And so they're always kind of down courtside shooting clips of him and whatnot. And a couple guys have asked questions in post game. They're very curious about Keisei's NBA prospects. But I mean, yeah, like here's another thing. Talk about conspiracy theories. I have a thinking that Nebraska has an advantage over some teams just because of the storyline that they are. The fact that they have never won a tournament game.
Okay.
The fact that the Big Ten is not a 10-bid league. They're only going to have maybe 5 or 6 teams, maybe 7.
3 make the second week.
Get in the tournament. And so I think that they want a stronger group, a smaller group, as opposed to casting out a wider net and having a bunch of teams lose in the first round. So I think the Big Ten probably would like to see Nebraska take charge and clinch
Never thought of that.
And then the Tominaga story.
Right.
I mean, like he's one of the most he's a nationally known player. He's a preseason All Big Ten guy. People beyond the Big Ten and the Nebraska market know who Keisei Tominaga is. They don't know much else about Nebraska. They know that Fred Hoiberg coaches there and Keisei plays for him. And so like that helps. That stuff helps when it comes to comparing resumes. If things are even, like, well, Nebraska's got this. This would be great TV.
Like how many Japanese players have ever played in the NCAA tournament? I'd wonder. I mean, I don't know if they could even look something up.
You don't see it very often.
Hachimura from Gonzaga.
Yep.
He was in there.
He was excellent.
Was he from Japan?
Yes. I don't know.
I mean, just think about anecdotally, you just don't see it.
But he's a star in Japan. So, I mean, talk about a market opening up for networks.
Yeah.
Nebraska has that.
Keisei went through that 3-game stretch where he was awful. But, man, against Illinois with Terrence Shannon on him. One
of the best on-ball defenders in the conference.
If not the best.
Think how upset he was.
Yeah.
He was. Brad Underwood told the story after the game. He's like, I don't know how he does it. He just doesn't stop running, talking about Keisei.
And Underwood also said that he's an exceptional tough shot maker. Keisei takes some tough shots. Now he had 31 against Illinois? 31, and it was incredible to watch. There were shots. Keisei shoots a lot of those shots where you're like, no. Yes, nice one.
Yeah, you keep him going, get Rink going, you get CJ going. All of a sudden, Nebraska's
and Williams
darn near impossible to defend.
And Williams.
Oh yeah, him too.
Yeah, Williams. I mean, they are really. And Rob, I said it from the start. They're going to be really hard to defend. They're as hard as I thought they would
make their shots.
Yeah. All right. Well, lots to follow. It's going to be a traditional Saturday afternoon game in PBA, Nebraska,
Sold
Michigan, 5:30 p.m. tip. Haymarket's going to be buzzing before this one. No one covers it better than Robin Washington. Literally, yes. Not you, though, Steve Sipple.
No, I'll be working with Rob.
Finally.
All right. Well,
did you say finally?
We've got a great special as well at HuskerOnline.com. Get 2 months of access for $1 by simply using promo code NU1. That's 2 months for $1. Promo code NU1. Try us out for Abby Barmore, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett. I'm Sean Callahan signing off here for another edition of the Husker Online Show.